Today was Sir Keir Starmer's worst day as Prime Minister. He's currently so toxic that polonium looks at him and runs away.
Picture a Prime Minister barely warmed to the office, yet already feeling confidence drain away. He steps into long-neglected communities expecting applause, but instead faces sharp questions from the very voters he promised to champion. What unfolds when the carefully crafted image of a national rescuer fractures, exposing doubt, unmet pledges, and uncomfortable truths? The political landscape is tilting fast, and the tremors are rippling from the old red wall stronghold straight into the halls of Westminster. Across the country, frustration is no longer whispered, it's rising, loud and unapologetic. People are demanding to know who actually fights for them, who understands the grind of everyday life, and who deserves stewardship over their future. This is no longer a technical argument over policy details, it's a reckoning over authenticity, credibility, and the very substance of leadership itself.
The latest poll put Reform about 10 points ahead, and he's lost the red wall. So his team of crack advisors said, go to the red wall, win them back, slag off Nigel Farage. They'll love that, Sir Keir. Here's what happened.
I've got Peter from The Guardian.
Do you think one of the problems is that Nigel Farage can approximate talking like a human being, where you just resort to talking points and dodging questions?
He's lost The Guardian.
Reform UK say you're running scared of them, that you're sounding increasingly like them with some of the policies and announcements you've made recently. This is a speech that was very defensive, wasn't it?
He's lost Sky News.
Me go to Chris Hope. Chris
Hope, GB News. Prime Minister Nigel Farage has 5 MPs. You've got 403. Are you panicking because Reform is so far ahead in the polls, it seems? Is he living rent-free in your brain? You went to a state school. Your dad worked in a factory. Your mum worked in the NHS. So why has a public school-educated former city trader got more in common with the red wall than you have?
The boldness of Keir Starmer's team marching him straight into the red wall was staggering. These were the very seats Labour once called its fortress, yet the visit turned into a bruising spectacle that exposed just how badly the moment was misread. Outlets like The Guardian, Sky News, and GB News didn't hold back, pressing him hard and amplifying the tension. One reporter cut through the noise with a blunt question: does he struggle to connect in plain language when standing beside Nigel Farage? This wasn't a minor stumble, it looked like a political collapse under pressure. He seemed cornered, rattled, and outpaced by the moment. And when even parts of the media that once offered breathing room turn critical, the challenge grows sharper. The deeper question isn't just whether he feels the heat, it's whether he grasps why confidence is draining in the first place.
He's got Nigel Farage living rent-free in his head, and just in case he wasn't absolutely sure, he's being told how unpopular he is.
Speed of the decline in your popularity is historically unprecedented. Isn't this speech today an admission that you have failed and Nigel Farage understands voters better than you?
The constant repetition of Nigel Farage by Keir Starmer, caught in a bruising clip where the name keeps surfacing again and again, revealed more than frustration, it exposed a strategic stumble. Commentator Matthew Laza reacted on the spot, asking, "He's rattled, isn't he?" And that single line hit harder than any headline. While a few Labour MPs may have welcomed the combative edge, it didn't project command, it felt like fixation. Claims that Farage's agenda lacks funding, or is driven by symbolic culture fights sounded strained rather than decisive. Instead of outlining a clear, confident direction for the country, Starmer ended up orbiting his rival, unintentionally handing him the spotlight. The sharper issue isn't the criticism itself, it's why a prime minister would center a challenger so prominently, reinforcing his relevance and amplifying his presence in the national debate.
You went into the election promising to freeze national insurance and keep the 2-child benefit cap. You've since raised national insurance on businesses and now you're considering axing the cap. Isn't attacking Nigel Farage's economic credibility a bit rich?
Yikes. And then after all that, he has the temerity to say that he's more trustworthy than Nigel Farage.
And that's the question you have to ask about Nigel Farage. Can you trust him? Can you trust him with your future?
Keir Starmer tried to paint Nigel Farage as economically reckless, but the attack ricocheted. The journalist who challenged him didn't tiptoe around it, highlighting the contradiction in plain sight. He campaigned on freezing national insurance and keeping the two-child benefit cap, only to later raise national insurance for businesses and signal a rethink on the cap itself. With that backdrop, questioning Farage's fiscal credibility sounded strained rather than strong. This wasn't a harmless misstatement, it felt like a credibility crack widening in real time. He warned about unfunded commitments while his own pledges appeared to shift under pressure, and that tension is exactly what voters notice when trust is already on thin ice.
Pensioners, farmers, business owners, people who care about not giving away British sovereign territory, people who pay energy bills, the disabled, private school parents, just some of the people who might feel as though Sir Keir Starmer hasn't been entirely honest with them in his first 10 months as PM. And all he's got now is to try and say how working class he is.
Like Nigel Farage, I know what it's like growing up in a cost of living crisis. I know what it's like when your family can't pay the bills, when you fear the postman on the bills that may be brought.
A former Labour advisor, Matthew Lazara, has openly admitted he's stunned by how abruptly the press has shifted its tone towards Starmer. He argued that one defining trait of Starmer's rise, both before and after entering Downing Street, was the unusually soft treatment he received from much of the media. Very soft. What unfolded in that room, Lazara suggested, felt like a clean break from that pattern, almost a public snapping of patience. That's no small confession. For years, Starmer seemed to glide through interviews with limited friction, but now the questioning carries an edge. If that harder scrutiny becomes the norm, Lazara warns his position could grow increasingly fragile. This doesn't resemble a routine political storm that blows over in a week. It feels like a recalibration within parts of the establishment itself. With internal strains intensifying over issues like the two-child benefit cap, the pressure isn't easing, it's mounting. The real question is whether this marks a genuine reassessment of his leadership or merely the first chapter in a deeper, sustained challenge that's only just beginning.
Look, nothing screams being in touch with the public like delivering a series of speeches in secure, sterile locations surrounded by security. He can't go and meet working class people because this happens.
The visible strain in Starmer's efforts to frame himself as a champion of working-class Britain has not gone unnoticed. When he speaks about growing up through financial pressure, watching bills stack up, or feeling anxious about what might land on the doormat, the intention is clearly to sound grounded and relatable. Yet for many, that carefully scripted empathy feels choreographed, especially when delivered in tightly managed venues, under heavy security, against immaculate backdrops. That's not the raw, unscripted authenticity many red wall voters say they crave. It risks looking more like performance than conviction. The viral moment of a pub landlord loudly telling him to leave quickly became a symbol for critics, not just an awkward scene, but a snapshot of perceived distance between leader and electorate. And that's the core issue, not simply optics, but whether he can genuinely close that gap and connect in a way that feels earned, natural, and unmistakably real rather than rehearsed.
So I'm the opposite. I'm completely surprised that the press have turned on him. One of the features, I believe, of Starmer's premiership and before he was Prime Minister is that the press have been very, very gentle with him, very gentle. And what went on in that room today, I thought, was a complete reversal of where they've been up till now. If they keep that pressure on, I think he could go. The problem with having so many MPs is that they can form really big clumps and come after him, and with a two-child benefit situation I think he could be in trouble, and with the winter fuel you've seen where he is. I think everybody now is hounding him.
Char's warning hit like a political earthquake. What was once seen as a nuisance for the Conservatives is now sending tremors toward Labour as well. Reform UK is no longer just chipping away at the right, it's starting to pull support from the left too, signalling a deeper shake-up in British politics. The notion that this turbulence would spare Labour is evaporating, replaced by the stark realization that no party is immune. As traditional left-right lines blur and a populist movement draws in disillusioned voters from across the spectrum, the very foundations beneath Westminster are shifting, and fast. Here we stand, a leader under relentless pressure, struggling with tactical missteps and a widening gap between himself and the very voters he aims to win. The red wall is far from settled, media scrutiny has sharpened, and opponents like Farage are gaining fresh visibility. Attempts to appear in tune with everyday concerns are being tested in real time, and the conversation has moved beyond policy into the realm of authenticity. The pressing question isn't just whether trust can be restored, it's whether public opinion is already hardening. Is this just another storm, or a turning point that reshapes the political battlefield? One thing is clear, the landscape is shifting, and the fight over the country's future has entered a decisive new phase.